We began with fire, the oldest, hungriest force in existence, and we end with fire still, but now it burns differently. No longer a wildfire, scorching everything in its path. It has become the controlled blaze of the blacksmith's forge, the steady candle flame of the monk's meditation, the silent nuclear fusion at the heart of a star. This is the alchemy of desire, not its negation, but its evolution. You stand now at the edge of a choice. Not a choice between indulgence and denial, that is the false dichotomy of the uninitiated, but a choice between scattering and sculpting. Every moment of longing, every surge of energy that courses through you, is raw material. Will you let it dissipate into the ether, spent on fleeting satisfactions? Or will you gather it, tend it, and direct it towards something that outlasts the body, outlasts the moment, outlasts even the self? This is not a call to asceticism. It is a call to ambition, the kind of ambition that understands pleasure is not the enemy of purpose, but its currency. The ancients painted their temples with erotic carvings, not because they were decadent, but because they knew desire is the brushstroke of the divine. Your restlessness, your hunger, your ichthyes are not obstacles to your greatness. They are the fuel, that threefold invitation. First, become a witness before you can direct energy. You must see it clearly. For 1 week, track your desires like a scientist, not to judge, but to map their currents. Notice when they arise, strongest dawn, midnight, after certain triggers. Observe which ones drain you and which ones leave you brighter. Desire is data. Collect it. Second, choose. Your crucible energy cannot be transformed in the abstract. It needs a Vasilla project, a practice, a thing into which you can pour the molten heat of your focus. Start small, a poem, a business idea, a physical discipline. The key is consistency. Every time you feel the pull of distraction, ask, can I put this energy elsewhere? Redirect even 10% of it, and watch the alchemy begin. Third, surrender to the burn. There will be moments when the fire feels too much, when the pressure of unmet longing threatens to crack you open. This is not failure. This is the threshold. The mystic knows that ecstasy and agony are two sides of the same coin. When the heat rises, breathe deeper, stay, let it cook you into something new. The final transmutation at the end of all this. What awaits is not some distant enlightenment, but a simple and seismic shift. The realization that you are not separate from the energy you seek to master. The alchemist does not conquer desire. They become it fully, cleanly, without resistance. In that fusion, a miracle occurs. The seeker disappears. Only the seeking remains, luminous and endless. So take your place in the lineage of firekeepers. The poets, the rebels, the lovers, the mad ones who burned with visions and left them etched into history. They were not different from you. They simply chose, again and again, to turn their hunger into hearth, their lust into legacy. In the end, the alchemy of desire is not about mastering some esoteric technique, nor about winning control over a wayward instinct. It is about coming home to the deepest current of life that runs through you, recognizing it not as an intruder to be subdued, but as the very architect of your becoming. Sexual energy, in its essence, is neither merely erotic nor merely creative. It is the raw pulse of existence, the echo of that first cosmic breath that brought stars into the darkness. When we learn to feel it, honor it, and shape it, we are no longer passive travelers through life's landscapes. We become the sculptors of our own destiny. The great secret the one whispered through the myths, hinted at in the practices of mystics, and rediscovered in every age, is that desire is not just for someone or something out there. It is the universe's way of awakening you to what is already within. Every longing, every ache, every flash of attraction is an arrow pointing back toward your own unexpressed potential. The person who stirs your blood may be the mirror in which you glimpse the part of yourself still sleeping. The dream that makes your heart race may be the form your inner fire longs to take. If you follow only the surface of these impulses, you may find momentary satisfaction, but if you follow them into their depths, they will lead you to the treasure buried in your own soul. To live this way requires courage, because it means refusing the simpler paths of denial or indulgence. It is easier to suppress desire until it turns to dust, or to exhaust it in fleeting pleasures that ask nothing of you. But the alchemist chooses a harder road, to stand in the heat of longing without flinching, to listen to what it wants to become, and to offer it the vessel of your time, your craft, your voice. This is the way of transformation, and it asks everything you are willing to give, yet in return it gives you back more than you could imagine. When sexual energy is transmuted into creative power, the boundaries between work and passion dissolve. You find yourself creating not because you must, but because you cannot help it. You move through the world with a quiet radiance, not dependent on others for its source, because the river runs within you, endless and Your relationships deepen, no longer driven solely by need or scarcity, but by the joy of sharing a fire that does not go out. This is not a promise of perfection. The river will still rise and fall, storms will stir the surface, and there will be days when the fire feels low. But once you have felt the truth of this energy, once you have tasted its higher purpose, you will never again mistake it for something trivial. You will know it as a teacher, a companion, and at times, a fierce mirror. And even in the quiet seasons, you will feel its ember glowing in your depths, waiting to flare again into something luminous. The call, then, is simple but uncompromising. Begin. Begin wherever you are, in the middle of longing, in the heart of doubt, in the heat of inspiration. Notice the current within you and resist the urge to waste it or lock it away. Instead, give it form. Write the first line. Pick up the brush. Speak the truth you have been swallowing. Shape the clay, tend the garden, sing the note that trembles in your chest. Do it not to impress, not to seduce, not to prove, but to allow the energy to complete its cycle. From raw heat to radiant creation. If enough of us lived this way, the world itself would change. Our culture, so often split between the denial of desire and its shallow exploitation, would begin to heal. We would see the erotic not as something to fear or commodify, but as the source from which beauty, courage, and meaning spring. And we would walk through life as co-creators with the same force that turns seeds into forests and sparks into suns. The truth is, the alchemy has already begun. By reading these words, you have turned your gaze toward the river. Whether you step into it now or later is your choice, but the current will not forget you. It will call to you in dreams, in sudden rushes of inspiration, in the way your body quickens at the sight of beauty. And when you are ready, you will remember that you are not separate from this force. You are its expression, its instrument, its living proof. So let it move, let it rise. Let it make of you something both fierce and tender, both grounded and luminous. And when you stand, years from now, in the light of what you have created, you will know that every spark of desire you ever felt was not a distraction from your purpose. It was the road to it. The fire is yours. The river is yours. The gold is already in your hands. Use it well,